Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a special online event today called Your Sixth Sense Superpower. Discover psychic approaches to greater authenticity, fulfillment, and joy. My name is Stephen Dinan. I'm the founder and CEO of the Shift Network, and I'm really delighted to be with you here today from one of the real pioneers of intuition and psychic abilities, who's also just a lot of fun. Her name is Sonia Choquette, and she's a spiritual teacher, sixth sensory consultant, storyteller, and author. She's written a whole lot of great books, 27 internationally best-selling books, along with the New York Times bestseller, The Answer is Simple. And she's also just a really delightful, warm person who's coming to us from Paris. So, Sonia, thank you so much for joining us here today.
I'm so happy to be with you and everyone. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, we're super excited to have this time with you, Sonia, and I'll let people know that we are going to have a chance to go much deeper with Sonia in a brand new program. It's called Your Sixth Sensory Life, and we'll share a little bit about that towards the end of the hour. So, Sonia, let's start with a little bit of personal backstory. I always find it's interesting to know where people come from as we start to receive their teaching. So what is it that really opened you to realizing that teaching around intuition and psychic abilities was really at the core of what you were going to be offering in life?
Well, that's a good question. People have often asked me, when did I learn I was psychic? And the answer to that is never. I always grew up with this sixth sensory awareness, but it's because I had a family environment that completely lived around trusting your vibes. And that started with my mom, she was a prisoner of war and lost her family during World War II when she was only 12 years old. And she ended up in a concentration camp and in a work camp. Even though she wasn't Jewish, she was displaced and they thought she was a gypsy. And so she also became deaf, and her intuition is what saved her life. She said, when I had nobody, nothing, there was this inner voice that I called my spirit that introduced itself to me as my spirit that said, no matter what you see, hear, no matter what appears, trust me, listen to me, I'll take care of you. And she said it saved her life. When she was 15, she met my dad and married him and moved to America. And I'm one of 7 kids named after her. And our whole family was organized around this conviction and this value about that your sixth sense is the most important, the first sense, the one to listen to no matter what. And that was just the way my life unfolded. So, and the other thing that's interesting about my mom is that during the war, she lost her hearing. So I grew up with a mother who was deaf, and she only listened to vibration. And so my first language, actually, in having that kind of a mother and that kind of a home, was that vibration. Intuition was my first language. So I started probably just to impress her more than anything, getting really good at what we call trusting your vibes. And by the time I was 12, I was already doing readings for people in the neighborhood, mostly adults, mostly her friends. And I got good at that. But eventually, through a series of events and some not so pleasant, including working with the police department and dealing with a family that had been murdered, which was very traumatic for me as a young kid, I decided that more than doing readings, I wanted to teach other people how to do this, because to me, not having your inner compass working was a tremendous, horrible handicap that we didn't need to deal with. So my first classroom I was only 15 years old. And I just feel like I came in with this intention and had the perfect conditions to develop it. And I've been teaching ever since. So that's kind of a quick backstory.
Well, you really certainly couldn't have asked for a more appropriate environment to incarnate into, given what you're up to now. Wow. So, and it is that's quite remarkable that you literally wouldn't even exist if your mother hadn't been able to access this superpower herself in the camps of Nazi Germany. So that's remarkable, really remarkable there. So let's talk a little bit about why you really see the sixth sense as a superpower, like one that's more powerful, if you will, than your other 5 senses, and in some ways more important to access.
I believe that with my whole heart and soul, because your sixth sense, which I actually do believe is the first sense, originates in the heart. And it is the compass and the connector to a number of things. It's not a linear sense. The first thing that it does is it connects you to your spirit. Second thing it does is it gives you access to having a huge and insightful connection to the environment around you beyond what's physically evident. So it's a protector. It also is the resource that gives you creative downloads. So it's the inner compass for your purpose, for your creative expression. It brings in from the subconscious mind the availability of information from your past, both in this lifetime and in my matrix, all your lifetimes. So it brings up information that can serve you as you go through life, in your health and in your well-being and in your relationships. And so for me to go through life without this inner awareness that works in an exponential way, it would be like being lost in the forest in the night, full of, wild animals and no compass or no way to go. It would just throw you without your sixth sense. You'd be just thrown into fear. And so all your decisions would be made at the lower level of awareness and a contracted state of being, whereas your sixth sense, which we all have, elevates you out of that state and gives you information that comes through beyond what your physical and more limited senses can provide. So quite honestly, Stephen, I don't know how any of us could really achieve a joyful, creative, fully successful, in-purpose life without it.
It's as you speak, it kind of makes me realize that there's a way in which we often hold as a little bit as a nice to have or rather than a need to have, and that we can't actually create the kind of civilization we want on this planet without people opening to their sixth sense in a deeper way.
I'm so glad you said that, because if you've done any sort of even mild research, every human breakthrough was a breakthrough from this deep spirit knowing. One of my favorites is when everybody's looking at the planet going, yeah, it's pretty flat out there. Looks pretty flat. And there's some soul saying, it's not so flat. I think there's more than meets the eye. And then we, discover even America where we live, and every other invention comes and arises from this deeper sense and connection to more information than our logic brain can track, our rational mind, our physical senses. One of my favorite quotes is from Einstein when he said, "Your intuitive spirit is your sacred gift, and the rational mind is its faithful servant." But sadly, we've thrown away the gift and we've become faithful to the servant. So it's been my mission to reinstate that gift, because it helps us transcend a mundane fight, flight, anxious, fearful, survival way of living, and really helps our lives become elegant and beautiful and purposeful, and allows us to contribute what our souls can contribute.
Wow, that was beautifully articulated, and it really does. It seems like we basically can't evolve our planet without more people opening this up. So thank you for taking it on as your sacred mission to open it up more. So let's talk a little bit about, so most people have certainly had powerful intuitions who are on this call, but they may not have that channel open all the time, or they may not know when they can trust it. So sometimes there's this discernment of like, what's really intuition, what's our sixth sense, versus what might be like triggered by our kind of like old patterns or reactivity or fear. So maybe talk a little bit about that discernment function and how to open it more fully.
Well, first of all, I think there's some very physical signatures that you need to pay attention to, because intuition is experienced primarily in the trunk of your body first. It's experienced in your throat, in your chest, in your gut, maybe the hairs on the back of your neck, but it's not experienced in your intellect. So we have to pay attention to our body. And when you're getting a true intuition, a real guidance, your physical body expands. The energy kind of opens up. And when it's wishful thinking, or when it's a reaction, or when it's emotion, or some old pattern, actually your physical body contracts. It gets tenser. You have less breath. So that's the first thing to do, is to see, am I contracted or am I expanded a little bit? Did I get a little more room to breathe? It's not going to be wildly evident. It's just subtle. Everything about intuition is subtle, but I always say first check your body and see if acknowledging what you're feeling inside gives you a sense of a little more room to breathe. So that would be one specific tool you can look for. Another is that intuition versus wishful thinking, projection is consistent. So you'll have, for example, the vibe. Don't do that at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you'll talk yourself into it and have call your friends, get all your input, and then at noon you'll still have the vibe. Don't do that. So you'll go to lunch and you'll talk yourself out of it, and you'll get some more information, and then at 6 o'clock at night you'll still check in, and it'll still feel like, don't do that. So the key is that it's not in your brain. Your brain will be all over the place, but the feeling in your body will stay consistent. And no matter what you do, if it's a true intuition, you can't change it. So that's another really big clue to look for.
Those are great. So circling back to what you said before, that the intuition is really sourced at a heart level. So is it kind of like the information kind of radiates out from your heart, so it becomes a more full-bodied experience? Is that part of why that signaling is happening?
Absolutely. Your intuition is initially, it is a signal from your heart. And the science doesn't even know. Of all the things it does know, it cannot explain why our heart beats. But the signal of intuition comes from that point of where your heart originates, the heartbeat. And that is the connection of your spirit to your physical form. And then it starts radiating out. One of the first places it will go is to your physical stomach. That's where we call gut feelings, and it feels here, because the physical form intuition of the gut is protective. It's like, I'm going to protect that I'm safe, that I'm not threatened, I'm not in danger. So those are where the first radiation will go. Then it'll start expanding and borrowing your other senses. It'll radiate up into your emotions, and then you'll start feeling inspired or connected, so I say kind of the physical senses of the stomach are the red light vibrations of don't do that, and then the vibrations that come up to the heart and start moving through the other senses are the green light vibrations of like, do that, go there, connect that. So the physical body, it really starts here, and then it comes to the throat. So in the throat space, this is the chimney of the heart. And this is why most people get disconnected from their intuition, because they get choked off and they're just stuck in their head. They're just stuck in this information. And this logic-based information is coming from a limited and biased place. The senses are not actually working that well. The information is often secondhand, third-hand, old information that's not current. It's not tracking in current time. So we have to, one of the things we can do to tune into our intuition, and something I love to do, it's really shocking, is if you just thump your chest like this and go, ha! And like uncork the bottle, you can feel the wave in the heart and in the gut, and it kind of allows you to be more available. So that's just kind of another fun little technique to allow your awareness and your other senses to work with your intuition.
Cool. Well, you should call that the champagne practice, the popping the cork in the bottle.
Really, it is. It's just like that. It's like uncorking a bottle, but you can't do it from your head, I've taught it in workshops where people go, ha, and it's like, doesn't work. It has to come from, like, you pull your gut in and you push the air out, and it opens this throat channel because we get choked off from our inner guidance system here. So this is just a super quick technique that works.
So do you see, is part of the reason that we get choked off, and particularly our throat, is because the society as a whole has been threatened by oftentimes people speaking from the intuitive knowing, and there's the history of burning witches and marginalizing people, so we kind of get locked up around expression? Is that part of what happens?
Well, partly, especially here where I am in the age in the French paradigm of reason, we became in the Middle Ages very, very logic based, and it was kind of a reaction to religion, and science didn't want to be controlled by religion, but the pendulum swung too far toward overthinking, over rationalizing. So it became first that you would listen to your own spirit. First, the religious resistance was what you're listening to yourself instead of the church. That was the big no first. And then the second was science got right behind it, says what you're listening to yourself instead of logic and the logic we give you. So it got compounded to the point where it became actually really dangerous and out of favor to listen to your own intuition. So a lot of people just refuse to put themselves in the danger. And then there is evidence with witch burnings and all the horrific things that happen in this lovely country where I am, where people truly suffered and had horrific consequences. But the pendulum that swung so far out that way is now swinging back, and we're thinking, okay, well, if I give up my intuition, I'm giving up my personal autonomy. I'm giving up my personal self-direction, and I personally, and of course, I'm very dynamically strong about this. When you give up your intuition, you're like a lamb chop. You're like a sheep being led to the slaughter of life being controlled outside of you. And right now, all the powers that be that are controlling things are pretty scary. So we better come back to home base and trust our own vibes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting that so much of the really scary people out there do use fear as the control tactic, and so coming back to yourself allows you to break out of that and to have a knowing that isn't just about what's socially acceptable or what is permissible, but really is true to your spirit. So let's talk a little bit about how do you approach intuition through your daily life? Then it's like we wrote on the page about how it's kind of a truth serum. Let's talk about more of the day-to-day practice of intuition for you.
Well, first of all, I want to say something about this truth serum because it's really important if you want to be an intuitive person. The rational mind, the way we've been educated, the way we've been conditioned, is that we have to do things right. And if we don't do them right, we're wrong, and then the consequence is terrible. So the intellect and ego is always trying to figure out what's right, with the threat that it could make a mistake. So you go, it's like the spinning wheel on a Mac computer. It just, you're stuck. Intuition doesn't operate in the world of right and wrong. I say that we, using intuition, step into a third space. That is what feels true for me for now. So we're not trying to read the perceptions and requirements of pleasing other people. We're coming back into a true connection to my experience as a spirit embodied in this moment. And that's the only thing that can accurately guide me. So that's really important that we understand that as long as you're trying to get it right or figure it out, I call that a bad neighborhood. That is the bad neighborhood of your brain trying to figure out how to please everybody else, and nothing good happens there. I teach a lot with metaphor because we learn with images more quickly than we learn with words. So if you say, okay, living in my head is a bad neighborhood. Living in my intuitive heart It's truth serum. It's my protection. It's my authentic self. So these little things can shift us. Plus, whenever you need to get it right, you do risk getting it wrong, so you don't want to take the risk. And that's why most people get tripped up in their intuition, because one of the questions they ask me is, well, how do I know it's right? And that question itself is setting you up for failure, because there isn't an empirical right. So forget how do I know it's right, and ask yourself instead, when you have a feeling, does it feel true in my heart, in my body right now? Does this feel true for me? And you can feel it. You can't think it. So that's one big shift back to center and out of that endless fight, flight, fear, figure out, stuck place that the ego mind kind of often leads us to.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's super helpful. And it kind of leads to the next thing that we said we would talk about, which is, how to use this same truth serum ability to get more insights into where you're stuck too, and then how you might get out of those places you're stuck.
So here's a very good tool for when you're stuck, because I actively work with clients all the time, and I'm listening to stuck people all the time. And one of the most immediate and direct ways to get unstuck is a simple technique that we can do instead of me telling you about it. Want to do it?
Sure, let's do it.
I'll do it with you. Okay, so here's the first thing you need when you want to work with your intuition, is you have to be tuned into a real question. The biggest obstacle for intuition is people aren't really available to hear what's true. So it has to be a true question. So do you have a true question that you want to explore and get an intuitive answer?
Sure.
For it has to be genuine. That's important. Okay, yeah. So what would be a genuine question that you have that you really want your intuition to give you some direction on?
So we're kind of just a little context. We're in a place where it's time to really grow faster as a company, and I believe that's true. And we're looking at opening a round of investment, and I have less experience with that, and so it's a little bit like, which direction to go or how to go about getting the investment to grow at the optimal kind of rate.
Okay, so first you can see how you've gone to your head about it a little bit, trying to figure it out. So can you feel that? And then you got the conversation. I could do this. It might be right. Then it might be wrong. So I want you to feel that tug and pull and kind of the futility of it, because I'm sure it's gone around and around. So we need to recognize the futility of trying to figure it out.
Okay.
Then we go to, so now here's a way to get the answer. And I call this a simple tool. It's called empty the garbage. So the empty the garbage is you have to just fill in the blank. I'm afraid of. Fill in the blank.
You want me to do it? You want me to do it out loud?
Yeah, out loud. Mm-hmm. We're going to do back and forth.
I'm afraid of not raising money.
Okay, take a breath in through the nose. Look at one thing in your environment right in front of you and tell me what you're looking at.
An elephant.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Now, I'm afraid of
letting the team down.
Okay, take another breath. Exhale. And look at another thing in your immediate environment.
I'm looking at a statue of Lakshmi.
Okay, take another breath. I'm afraid of.
I'm afraid of being misunderstood.
Okay, good. Take a breath. What are you looking at?
A image from Peru.
Okay, I'm afraid of.
I'm afraid of failing.
Okay. Take a breath and exhale. What are you looking at?
A little statue of Rumi.
Bring the edges of your lips up to your ears. Let out a sound, ah.
Ah.
Drop into your heart space, and my spirit says,
My spirit says, you're not going to fail.
and my spirit says,
The resources that you need will be provided.
take a breath, and my spirit says the first step is,
Open to all possibilities.
does that feel true?
Yeah, I think that feels true.
Feels true. So you can keep asking your spirit, and it'll give you more and more specific direction. But can you feel the difference between where you are up here figuring it out and this energy?
Mm-hmm.
It's even evident in your voice. Everybody listening to this, when you're in your head, the frequency and the voice, the vibration of the intellect is very different. When you go into your spirit, it's deeper, it's richer, it's more profound, and it rings true. Now, initially, when we're not used to this, our brain's going to go, wait, I want to control this. You just go back to I'm afraid of, because that's what's trying to control it.
Mm-hmm.
So we empty.
So it's like there's underlying fears, and then it compensates by going to the head to figure out a strategy, but then that's disconnecting from the possibilities.
Right. From what's available from your intuition. So, but here's the key, Stephen. This doesn't work unless you do it out loud.
Huh.
You can't think your way through this process. You can't do it internally. The power is opening the throat chakra because you're speaking from the spirit. You're opening here, and you hear the tone. The vibration is different, and your body feels it. So that's one of the most powerful things. You can't rush it. You have to take it step by step, and you have to say it out loud. And now the thing is, there's no way that I.
Does it matter if you're doing it with somebody else who's guiding, or is it you can just do it by yourself too?
You could get a guide like I was your guide, but I didn't express what was going on with you.
Mm-hmm.
You can have someone facilitate the experience, or you can do it on your own. But the key is after you empty the garbage and your brain gets kind of quiet, you can go, I'm afraid of, as many times as you want, but eventually your brain gets quiet. I call it the barking dog. When the barking dog gets quiet, done barking, then you can go. That's the rational mind. Then you go to the sacred gift, and my spirit says. So there's other tips and tools, but the thing is you could feel the difference in the channel. And we could hear it in your voice. So how would you describe the difference?
Yeah, I do feel like it's a more settled place. It's more, as you said, more relaxed. I think that because, there's some history around this, that there's can be sometimes a tightness around money that shows up in my system. And so I felt like just the open to all possibilities message is sort of like, it just feels more receptive rather than like trying to make it happen, which is more relaxed.
And the thing is, you could continue with this tool, but you have to be playful. That's why we have to empty the garbage first. What really blocks intuition is fear. So you want to be playful. That's why I call it the barking dog. That's playful. And it's like,
it might be it might be interesting just to have a little reflection on why the looking at something else in the room between each fear.
Thank you for asking. Okay, there's a reason, there's a method to my madness. First of all, when I have you breathe and then name your fear, you're emptying and moving an energy out, you're clearing. But when I have you look at something, I'm bringing you to the moment, to present time, and anchoring you back in your body. I'm getting you out of your head. So that's why that's important. It is a tool that shifts your energy back to the moment, back to your breath, back to what's actually happening right now. Not the fears of what could, fight, flight, freeze, oh no, we're in trouble. There's the screen, there's the window, there's the, it quiets the mind.
Mm-hmm.
It soothes the barking dog. And here's something I need to let you know about intuition. Intuition is the art of listening. You can't listen to your spirit if your dog is barking. So you can't yell at the dog to stop barking. You just got to let it bark until it's tired of barking. And then you can hear your intuition. So here's another thing I want to bring up. And this is a big one. Intuition is not language. It's energy. Remember when I brought you to your heart space? You felt something and then you had to give it language, but there's a feeling first.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're in your mind, the language comes really fast. I can make a mistake. I need to talk to a friend. I could do this. There's no pause. But there is a pause, and I say, my spirit says, first you're feeling the energy and interpreting it. So helping you come back and get in your body, and I set you up for success. It works.
Beautiful. Well, that's super helpful. And one of the things I'm really learning from you is that, there's a way which I don't know exactly why, but I've associated intuition more with the kind of upper chakras, or kind of like, and I think that by centering more in the heart and the body, it does open up something different and more grounded, the way you're approaching this.
Absolutely. And more immediately verifiable, because you can feel if it feels true. Your body relaxes. When you shifted from head to heart, we all relaxed, because that's what intuition does. It's truth serum. It relaxes everything. And I'm in Paris, and I can feel you all the way in California, but that's how powerful the vibration is. Everybody listening to this, I'm sure, and if you could re-listen to this, you would really see. So you learn, it's like almost training your ear, or your inner ear in your body, to sense that more stringent mental vibration versus this deeper, more oceanic opening vibration. And it really is it's very palpable. You can really begin with these little steps and tools to drop in quickly, because we're hardwired. So I'm just teaching you where the light is, but I don't have to put the light in there and wire you. When we get up into this cerebral upper chakra stuff, that actually is still a lot of mental gymnastics. And it really is, a lot of people approached intuition initially to bypass the human experience. And good luck with that. The way I'm working with is it teaches you to actually use it as a tool to have a more empowered, joyful human experience, not to bypass it with the sound and light show in the upper realms, but to actually be able to make decisions moment to moment to moment that are really grounded and energetically informed, so that the outcome will work out for you. You don't have to hope and pray. You feel it. You know it. So that's how we're designed. So that's the way I teach, is to teach with the system we have that's there to work for you.
Beautiful. Well, this is revelatory. I really appreciate where you're coming from and learning a lot. So what else? What are some of the other practices that you find that really help us to access intuition as sort of in the midst of more of the kind of buzz and hubbub of life, that it's like, that might be like sometimes harder to do this kind of sequential releasing of different layers?
Well, I'm a very practical, grounded person, and I'm kind of an impatient person. I'm an energetic, want to get to the solution as fast as I can. So I've created a set of tools that aren't complicated and don't require a big checkout from life, because my belief is Why, if we have a natural sense, do we have to create a whole artificial scenario for it to work? We don't. But we do need to do a couple of things that make a difference. One of them is, and this is so basic, if you don't drink enough water, you're dehydrated. If you're dehydrated, which most of us are, then your awareness diminishes exponentially. So I always say you need to water the garden. Your heart is the garden, so you need to water the garden. You need to go for a walk. And you need to remember to calm the barking dog. Those are sort of three just daily. You want to integrate them not as exceptional efforts, but these are the three things I need to kind of integrate as my daily practices for being able to access my intuition more quickly. You know, water the garden. That's not with coffee, with water. Go for a walk is to get grounded and out of your head. And quiet the barking dog is, you can use breathing techniques for it. Just breathe. Just like I said, breathe. Take a breath. It's hard to talk and breathe at the same time. It's hard to internally talk and breathe. It's impossible. So these are just, I just feel like we intellectually want this to be really difficult and you know, really complicated. And then it gives us a big reason to talk about it, but not to do it, not to actually have any real substantial, significant shift. My goal with my students is let's shift. And let's shift by doing some practical things to turn on the inner light. Turn on your light. And the first thing I remind all my students, intuition doesn't speak your native tongue. It speaks vibration. So you have to be in your body to feel it. That's why water the garden, go for a walk, and breathe. Otherwise, you're stuck in your head or dissociated altogether. So I'm super practical, but my practical tips make a big and fast difference.
Fantastic. Well, one of the other areas that I think a lot of people are very interested in developing their sixth sense around, it has to do also with other people. So there's the part of like really coming into your own truth. And then how are you teaching people to work with like reading other people or situations that to sort of navigate some of the, in a way, the social complexity of our lives too?
Well, I think it's really important to get clearly tuned in to your own intuition versus your own fear and anxiety and opinions and projections. But if you can get clear and tune in to what feels true for you, and you know, one of the things about living an intuitive life that's not negotiable is you have to summon a degree of courage to be faithful to what you feel, because I think one of the biggest obstacles that I find on a regular basis with my clients and students is they get super clear intuition, and then the first thing they do is they start shopping it around to ask other people to validate it for them. And then they're not being very objective about who they're asking. We inevitably will go to the person who doesn't get it, who is completely tuned out, and then we get invalidated, and then we get into a fight. So the first thing is give yourself permission. This is huge. Give yourself permission to know what you know and not need validation from others. Let what you know be enough. That will completely free you to then begin to read other people objectively, because you're not invested in that they need to agree with you or not agree with you. They need to see your point of view or not. So if you can give yourself the freedom that if I have a vibe, I don't need to defend it. I just have it. I'm just weird. I just go for it. That's me. Works for me. So, and keep it that light and simple. Don't make this a philosophical combat ground, okay? That's a big common mistake. Just be more playful with it. Then other people, you can actually see the difference between their barking dog and their spirit. And here's a very quick tool that I use all the time to get, most of us connect role to role, barking dog to barking dog. And it's a dog fight out there. But we can also connect soul to soul. So one of my favorite tools to get right in there and connect with people is, instead of saying, how are you? I like to ask people, how is your spirit today? And that invites them to check, how is my spirit? Most of us don't even consider we have a spirit, let alone check in with how it is. And so when we're reading other people and we're trying, first of all, don't read their barking dog or talk to their barking dog. You'll just get snarled at. But if you can talk to a person's spirit, surprisingly, the spirit will be so happy to be seen and recognize that ego self will kind of relax right off the bat, so you can get to the more authentic self pretty quickly with a simple question. How's your spirit? I'm interested. That really kind of shifts the dynamic and changes the channel right off the bat. And then you're at least you're going to, let's read who the real person is, and let's talk to that, and then we can avoid a whole drama that we don't need to have of, positioning. Just go soul to soul, spirit to spirit. But you have to come from yours. You have to vibrationally be met. You have to bring yours for their spirit to meet you. But it's not that difficult. People are more willing because they feel lonely in their heads. They love being witnessed at this deeper level. It feels good.
Yeah. What I'm realizing as you speak is that we have, there's certain social constructs or patterns that we often just step into, which has to do with you kind of do barking dog to barking dog. And so, it's actually, you don't have to play that. You can just start at a different level. And
Exactly.
that's really
just
beautiful.
Go. I try to make things really practical, simple, and when I teach tools, and then I say that way you can have your direct experience and you can trust your vibes. You don't have to trust me for very long. The tool itself will bear the result, and then you can start trusting yourself, which is so healing. It calms that anxiety, and it starts letting you know, I can navigate to the best degree. I can do this. It feels good. It feels true. And that's my objective when I teach. It's like, I don't want to give you more information. You have enough. I want to give you experience, tools for experience that can give you immediate affirmation.
Beautiful. Well, Sonia, it is great to spend time with you, and I feel like I'm learning each minute with you, and I want to spend a little time talking about your upcoming program with Shift, since I know you have so much to offer and you've developed so many powerful tools over the years of working with people and making them simple, making them practical, making a real shift in people's lives. So we're really excited that Sonia has decided to do this program with Shift. It's called Your Sixth Sensory Life: Psychic Approaches to Greater Authenticity, Fulfillment, and Joy. And it really builds from a lot of what we've been sharing today. It is about opening this sixth superpower dimension that really is the first sense, as Sonia said. And you can find the program laid out in detail at yoursixthsensorylife.com. Six is spelled out with letters, yoursixthsensorylife.com. And this is going to be a 7-week program and really take you into the depths of this shift and the ground of your being, so that you can open this sense and really make it a core navigating compass for all of your life and decisions, and really knowing what's true, trusting your own energetic sense on things, and really being able to engage people from this higher vibratory place. So, Sonia, I'd love for you to share in your own words what you're going to be teaching in the course of the 7 weeks, and then give us a little tour of the modules.
Well, I've been teaching a long time, and I've been teaching around the world, so I've also been a student watching what works, and distilling and distilling and distilling down to get real effective, efficient tools, and how to build a foundation so that your intuition can last. So that's how I built the course. So first I talk about the things that are in the way. So our very first module, we're going to clear the past, clear the baggage, kind of get you more available to receiving this subtle energy. And there's some fun tools with that are very efficient. We don't have to go down memory lane too far, but just energetically clearing up. On week 2, I want to introduce you to how to see yourself and know yourself from a different level, to meet your spirit. So you no longer consider the I of who I am your barking dog. That's your barking dog, that personality. So I introduce you to your spirit. And that's like meeting your best friend. I mean, they're just such an exciting reunion, a feeling, it's like when U2 says, I still haven't found what I'm looking for, you find it. So when you meet your spirit, you find what you're looking for. So that we get right to that. And then I teach you a little bit about what we talked about. Intuition doesn't speak English. It has its own language. It has its own energy. So I teach you how to recognize it and begin to pay attention to it instead of tune it out like we've been so influenced to do. And then it gets even more exciting. Then we move into week 4. I'm going to introduce you first. You meet your spirit, your intuition. And guess what? This is a populated realm of spirit. So then I teach you how to connect with spirit guides. We have a lot of help in the subtle planes that makes life synchronistic and magical and fun and incredible. So that will be the next week, that you get to meet all kinds of new dimensions of support that you didn't know were available. And that truly relaxes you. After that, I start to teach you how to use your intuition in day-to-day circumstances to make those decisions in the moment when you don't, and not lose your moment, because we all have been members of the woulda, coulda, shoulda club. I knew it, but I didn't do it, and I missed it, and then it's frustration. So I help you to get back into the flow of being able to make intuitive decisions in the moment when it matters. So we're going to go there. Then we're going to work also on how to use your intuition for one of the reasons I think we have it, which is to manifest your dreams. How to use wake up your spirit, trust your vibes, work with your guides, manifest your dreams. So that we're going to move along in a very organized, practical way, but with this in mind, what's the point of intuition other than to help you create the best possible life that you can imagine? That's the point of this, not just having the light show, but having a fantastic human show, a human experience. I'm going to talk about the feeling of not only being authentic and living this kind of intuitive path, this sixth sensory path, but that it actually helps serve the purpose of helping other people by your vibration, by your example, by the way you do things. Other people will get on board. So you start attracting your community, your support, the opportunities that you said, possibilities start showing up that wouldn't have been possible otherwise. So that's the 6th one. And then finally, just how to live a drama-free life. Or we're going to move in that direction because we're very addicted to drama. We're very enculturatedly conditioned to be in constant anxiety and fear. So how to move out of that. So there's a whole arc with each step being very strong. It's almost like teaching you how to ride a bike, and then the final week we go for a ride. So I'm just really excited. As you could see, clearly this is something I have a passion and a love for, and I'm really good at it. And I love to see the lights come on in people as quickly as they can. So that's kind of what I have in mind.
Well, it sounds absolutely fantastic. And it's really clear from just this hour with you how much passion you have and how many really remarkable, clear, precise insights and practices you have. I get exposed to a lot of teachers, and you're really quite extraordinary. So really, thank you for partnering with us on this program. I'll share a little bit more about the program. So again, you can see that it laid out in details at your6sensorylife.com. And you'll see that it's not only do you get the live class sessions with Sonia, which includes a live interactive Q&A all the way from Paris. This is going to be on video, so there's the intimacy and the playfulness. There's a wonderful playfulness about how Sonia's teaching that also is infectious and helps inspire us to take these things less seriously and more in a more spacious way. So you get video recordings of every class session if you miss. Also good to add your library for the future. You get audio recordings. You also get PDF transcripts, word for word, of every class session. So you really can make sure that you get all of these practices and insights like really grounded in your own life. You also have some time to do small group practice sessions at the tail end of each class, and there's an online learning community on Facebook. So the program will begin on June 19th. It's going to run on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And that's 1 p.m. Eastern, and you can translate that to European time. I don't have that in front of me, but really enables people to participate globally in this. It'll be an amazing global community that gets created. We know Sonia's had 27 books, and we're anticipating that there will be a lot of people in this program that you can connect with and share your experiences and grow with. So on the page, you also see there's a number of extra bonuses to draw attention to. There are 2 original songs. These are audio recordings from Sonia, which you want to share anything about what you're doing with the recordings there, Sonia?
Well, actually, I didn't. I wrote the songs, and the reason why I'm adding the music is because it is one of the most direct conduits to the intuitive channel, and it gets you out of your head. And one of them is actually entrains your physical body to be in this state of deep meditation. So it's just a support to train your body to get out of anxiety. And then the other one is it speaks to the part of you that is the intuitive part. And it gives that part of you a voice. So when you listen to the music and the words, it affirms and strengthens that self that's been ignored for so long or invalidated or denigrated. And it gives it dignity, and it helps you find a sense of confidence, so that it becomes not only natural, but really a part of your conviction that I'm going for this. So that's why I wanted to include the songs. They bypass so many obstacles and open us right up to what the channels we want to really develop.
Wow, sounds fantastic. Can't wait to hear those myself. So we also have other songs called Vibrational Music. It's a 4-song audio package from Sonia on Love Your Life, Ancient Traveler, Adventure, and Motion. And there's an ebook called Pathway to Joy, plus a $50 coupon code for Sonia's online store. She's got a lot of great offerings and programs, and so this allows you to go dive deeper into areas that you get sparked by and that you want to explore in a more in a deeper way. So it's a lot of value, and I should also bring attention, there's a special bonus which is available only today until midnight. It's called Clear, Calm, and Peaceful. This is a full digital course from Sonia that really is all about practical and easy to use effective tools to remain calm, peaceful, and ease no matter what challenges bring. So it's about lifting your vibration up to one of love and grace. So Sonia, you want to share anything about that special bonus? It's available when people sign up today.
Well, I just really want to offer everyone the resources for success. And one of my biggest things that I encounter with my students all around the world is that we're in such a state of anxiety that we can't even hear anything, let alone tune into our intuition. And so Clear, Calm, and Peaceful is a course that just gives you a lot of ways to not get ambushed by the external frequencies of the world, and how to create boundaries for yourself, and how to create a calm energy, and how to do it in a way that isn't frustrating. That again, I like to be as efficient and practical and result-oriented as possible. So this is just gives you that extra support. And frankly, people who are called to this kind of work anyway are already empaths. They're already hypersensitive. So their nervous systems have often been fried, and they're crispy critters. So this helps soothe and heal that. So it's just going to be an extra plus in how to just finally be in this world and actually enjoy yourself and feel confident.
Fantastic. What a great extra bonus for people who make a decision today. And I should say we do this as a way to encourage you to make a decision now and use your own intuition, tap in with your heart and your field. And if you're getting a yes to move forward, then it's to your advantage to decide now before the rest of life can distract you. So again, you can find all the detail on this and the rest of the bonuses and the full program at your6sensorylife.com, your6sensorylife.com. It's going to start on June 19th, and it's a very accessible investment. It's just 3 payments of $109, or you can save about 10% when you pay in full with $297. So this is what I love about this program is that it's not just like an inspiration for a moment. Sonia's really she's teaching you to fish. She's teaching you how to open the sixth sense in a powerful way in your own life. And that from moving forward, it shifts the whole baseline for your life. So you're not dependent on her to keep teaching and inspiring you. It's really her reconnecting you with your own deeper intuition and deeper energetics. And that really is a gift that keeps giving for a lifetime. So Sonia, I've loved the time with you. You're super fun and really perceptive, and I love your practices. So thank you for this time. And I know people are going to be blessed who choose to go further with you in this journey. But maybe just a few minutes that anything else that you feel like you want to share, or invitation to participate further with you as we close things out.
What I want to share more than anything is that when you begin to work with your intuition, and what I try to do in the course is I bring the fun factor back. I bring the inspiration, the enthusiasm, all the richnesses of your spirit, all the gifts, the gold, the treasures, the mystery of your spirit that makes life so intoxicating is what I kind of seduce out of you. So that your life all of a sudden kind of goes from black and white to color. It goes from, stress and drama to a really, magical experience. And it's not phony. It's very grounded and real. And I'm a good teacher, and my goal as a teacher is to set you free. That's the sign of a good teacher. And so it's my mission and passion, and I really hope that you got something out of this hour. And I really hope that if you want to explore further, you come and join me, because it'll be a great adventure.
Awesome. Well, you're a real blessing. And again, for all those who want to go further with Sonia, you're warmly welcome at your6sensorylife.com, your6sensorylife.com. And you get the whole Clear, Calm, and Peaceful program when you sign up by midnight tonight. So thank you, Sonia. It's been awesome. And also I feel like just that little pivot on the investment, how I'm approaching investment. I'm actually talking to a venture capital firm in a few hours. And I was like, oh, that's a really important little correction to how I'm entering into that whole conversation. Just even later.
That makes me happy. It'll
thank
go
you
well.
for that.
I'll just say one more thing. My mom was my best teacher, and she used to say to me every day, expect good things, and I expect to hear about them later. And so I would just leave everybody with expect good things.
Thank you. Well, these simple little interventions that then get us reconnected and lined up. Really a great blessing to receive from you. So thank you, and au revoir.
Thank you. Thank you. All my love.
All right. Bye-bye.